WrestleMania is usually one of the biggest events of the wrestling world, if not the biggest event. Always that one event where it's like we can watch it as it's all of our favorite superstars coming together to take battle on the grandest stage of them all. WrestleMania, it's the equivalent to the Super Bowl for us wrestling fans. But there's always been one WrestleMania that's always stood out to a lot of people. And a lot of people like to claim this as to be the best WrestleMania. So today, guys, I just wanted to talk to you guys about WrestleMania 17. Now, the thing with WrestleMania 17 that makes this WrestleMania stand out so much is it's simple. It was during the time of the Attitude Era. It was during the time when wrestling was at its highest peak. This was the end of the Attitude Era. Because after this, the Attitude Era and WWF changed, and there was just so many things that happened throughout this entire event that made everybody love this whole show. You had some really amazing matches. You had Chris Jericho fighting William Regal. You had Kane and Big Show and Raven, who were in a triple threat match, and they were in a hardcore match, a women's match, which was pretty cool to see. Chyna, rest in peace. The APA and Taz versus the Right to Censor. And Eddie Guerrero, he was still competing in matches. A gimmick battle royal, which was featuring all of the legends who were in the WWF previous to the guys who were in it during the time of 2001. Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. There was these three matches, in my opinion, that will always stand out, besides the main event, of course. One of the matches being Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon, and Mick Foley as the special guest referee. It was more of like a battle between father and son. This match was just simple. It was just Shane already had a company, which was WCW, and Mr. McMahon had the WWF, and they were going to just compete. It was a very intense match. There was so much going on, and it even got to this point where Stephanie McMahon and Trish Stratus got into a fight. Shane did this coast to coast to Mr. McMahon, and Mr. McMahon was down and out. Remember the tag team championship match between Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and the Hardy Boys? This match was insane. This was during the time where ladder matches were so unique to see, and, they felt different. And it was just cool to see because you had arguably the three greatest teams of that time going at it with each other. I recommend, if you guys haven't seen this match, you should definitely check it out. So much action that goes on in this match. You got guys flying off ladders. You got guys going through tables, hitting each other with chairs. You got Jeff Hardy jumping off the top of a 20-foot ladder. It was insane. So I definitely recommend, if anybody hasn't watched this match, to definitely check it out, because this is without a doubt one of the best matches I've ever seen in a WrestleMania event. The Undertaker versus Triple H. Triple H has defeated everybody in the WWF. He defeated everybody, and he was essentially this guy who was standing top of the mountain. That's when The Undertaker came. And so we get to the match at Mania, and these two are going at it back and forth. They didn't even have like a face-off or anything. It gets to this point where Undertaker even takes out the referee, and then they're going through the crowds. They're having basically a street fight. And it's kind of crazy because this wasn't even supposed to be a street fight. It was just supposed to be just a normal match. And then they finally get back to the ring. The referee is still knocked out from when Undertaker knocked him out. The Undertaker tries to hit Triple H with the last ride, but Triple H busts open the Undertaker. Triple H was infuriated by this, and he started attacking the Undertaker, and he got him into the corner of the ring, and Triple H was set up for a last ride, and with another last ride, 1, 2, 3, the Undertaker won the match. This was a really good match. I liked how extreme it was. It was cool to see how it turned into a street fight and how Undertaker and Triple H were wound up in the crowds. It was a very brutal type of match, so definitely have to give it to those two. We finally get to the main event. These two at WrestleMania 17 definitely delivered. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. Now, the story was so simple at this one. Who's the best in WWF? Is it Stone Cold or is it The Rock? There's a lot of build-up with this match because it stems from Stone Cold was out of action for the better part of 2000, and when he returned at the end of 2000, there were many hints that these two were going to clash at WrestleMania 17. Rock was big during this time. He was dominating everybody in 2000, but Stone Cold was also big too, so it just made sense to have the two biggest guys compete with each other. And there was a lot of tension, there were a lot of promos with these two before their whole bout at WrestleMania 17. And there's this one video package that always gets me hyped up every time, and I think you guys already know what I'm talking about. It is easily one of the best video packages for WWE, and it always manages to get me hyped no matter how many times I've watched it. We get to this match, we find out that it's going to be a no disqualification match. Clearly that was added last minute. Stone Cold comes out to a big pop. Obviously he's going to, because this was in his hometown of Texas. So Stone Cold gets a big pop, and then The Rock comes out. He gets a pop, but it wasn't nearly as big. The Rock and Austin have a moment where they just look at each other, and The Rock's on the top rope, and bang! Austin with the first shot. And these two did not have any stare down. They didn't have any trash talking. They simply just went straight at it, and were just going full front attacks at each other. 1 minute, Austin had the advantage. Next minute, Rock had the upper advantage. 1 minute, Austin was bleeding. Next minute, Rock was bleeding. It just was perfect with how everything was. The camera just zooms out. You just see Mr. McMahon walking out. He's just observing the match, obviously. And next minute later, you see Mr. McMahon interferes with The Rock while he's pinning Stone Cold. Austin and McMahon are working together. This confused everybody. During the time of WWF, Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon, they hated each other. They were the reason as to why the Attitude Era even started. And so these two are teaming up on The Rock. You know, The Rock is pretty much getting outmatched, outnumbered by both of them. And it gets to this point where Austin starts hitting The Rock with multiple chair shots. JR is losing it. He's saying, "What the hell is this? What the hell is that?" Rock lost the match, and Stone Cold was the winner. Just for a brief moment, Austin and McMahon start shaking hands. That's what the moment was when everybody says that's when the Attitude Era officially ended, because the two men who started it were now on the same side shaking hands. WrestleMania 17. Again, there's not really much else left for me to say. I mean, this WrestleMania is just iconic. This WrestleMania was amazing for a lot of people because it was the end of the Attitude Era. And a lot of people who grew up with the Attitude Era know just how special this WrestleMania was. I think this WrestleMania definitely is standing on the top of being the best WrestleMania because of a lot of things. It even broke the record of having almost 70,000 in attendance. People sure got a good show that night. So that's really all I have to say for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys thought of WrestleMania 17. Was it one of your favorites? If not, then what is your favorite WrestleMania? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!